Most people who grew up poor in the 1970s didn't know what they were missing, and they assumed everyone lived the very same way. Back then, stretching a dollar was an art form, with creative and sometimes funny solutions for being short on cash. Looking back, it's easy to see the struggle, but it's just as easy to smile as you think back on your own childhood. So here they are, the signs that you might have grown up poor in the 1970s. Thank you to the sponsor of this video, LEGACYBOX. In a lot of homes, the TV's channel knob broke off at some point and never got replaced. Instead of buying a new TV set or calling for a repairman, families just grabbed a pair of pliers and kept them on top of the TV as a permanent solution. Turning the dial became a careful operation, especially if the picture was fuzzy or the sound dropped out. Everyone in the house learned how to use the pliers just right, clicking through the channels slowly, hoping to land on one that came in clear. Buying bread from the day-old shelf was common in families trying to stretch a dollar. It was usually just slightly less soft than the fresh loaves, but perfectly fine for toast or sandwiches. If the store had name-brand bread marked down, that was considered a lucky find. No one really thought of it as less than. It was just a practical way to keep the pantry stocked without spending extra. Writing a check before payday wasn't reckless, it was strategy. Parents would keep a close eye on what day they got paid, and time the check accordingly, knowing it would take a day or two before the bank processed it. Grocery shopping often came with quiet calculation of what would clear and when. It was just one of those everyday ways people made things work when money was tight. Shoes from Payless, Kinney, or even Kmart were a staple in many households, especially for growing kids. Most kids had two pairs, one good pair for special occasions and a worn-out pair for everyday use. The good pair had to last, sometimes through an entire school year, and they were only worn when absolutely necessary. The old pair, even if it had holes or thinning soles, stayed in rotation as long as it could hold up. Wearing patched clothing wasn't anything unusual. When jeans or skirts wore thin or ripped, especially at the knees, parents would sew on a patch instead of tossing them out. Iron-on patches were popular, but sometimes they were stitched on by hand, with whatever fabric or thread was around. Clothes were handed down, worn out, patched, and worn again. It wasn't about fashion, it was about keeping things going as long as possible. It wasn't uncommon for a family car to have trouble starting, especially if it was an older model. If the battery was weak or the starter wasn't working, pushing the car to get it rolling and then popping the clutch was the go-to method. One person would sit in the driver's seat, while others gave it a push until the engine caught. It was frustrating at times, but it was just another part of daily life when you didn't have the money for repairs. Government assistance programs provided things like large blocks of processed cheese and powdered milk to help families get by. The cheese worked great for sandwiches or even cooking. Powdered milk was mixed with water and stored in the fridge, though it didn't taste much like the real thing. These foods weren't fancy, but they helped stretch the grocery budgets during tough times. When birthdays or holidays rolled around, many families got creative with wrapping paper. Instead of buying expensive gift wrap, they used the comic section of the newspaper or cut up brown paper grocery bags. The results were simple, but they did the job just fine. Sometimes kids even decorated the plain bags with drawings to make them feel more special. Bologna sandwiches were a lunchbox regular for kids in the 70s, served on plain white bread, maybe with a slice of cheese or a dab of mustard. They were quick, cheap, and filling. Some families fried the bologna in a pan to give it extra flavor. It wasn't gourmet, but it was what many kids grew up eating day after day, and most didn't think twice about it. Kids often found small ways to earn money, whether by collecting glass bottles for the deposit refund, delivering newspapers before school, or babysitting neighborhood kids. These jobs taught responsibility early and gave kids a little spending money of their own. It was normal to start helping out financially in small ways, even before you were old enough to get a real job. During the winter, bread bags served as makeshift waterproof liners for boots. If your shoes had holes or weren't insulated, you could slip a bread bag over your socks to help keep your feet dry. Some people even put them over their boots. They were held in place with rubber bands or tucked into pant legs. It wasn't the most comfortable setup, but it was what families used when buying new boots wasn't an option. When the school book fair flyer came home, kids would grab a pencil and start circling all the books they hoped to get. Often there wasn't money to buy anything, but it was still fun to dream. Sometimes you'd get a few dollars from your parents to pick out a cheap book or bookmark. Even without buying anything, the book fair was still something to look forward to. If you showed up at school without lunch money or a packed meal, the school would give you a plain peanut butter sandwich. It was dry, basic, and came with a carton of milk if you were lucky. It wasn't something kids looked forward to, but it was better than going hungry. Most kids who had to eat it didn't complain. They just ate quietly and moved on with their day. In many homes, the thermostat was strictly off limits to kids. If it was cold, you were told to wear a sweater. If it was too hot, you opened a window, but not for long. Leaving a door open, even for a few seconds, was sure to get a sharp reminder from a parent, trying to keep heating and cooling bills low. These rules weren't meant to be mean, they were just practical. At the start of the school year, teachers often asked kids to write about their summer vacations. For those who hadn't gone anywhere, it meant finding ways to make the ordinary sound exciting. Playing outside, going to the city pool, or visiting the cousins became the highlights. You didn't realize until later that some kids went on big trips. You just figured everyone's summer looked like yours. Recollection Road loves to recommend LEGACYBOX because we both believe in preserving the past. If you have a cluttered closet with cherished home videos and photos that rarely see the light of day, then you need to visit LEGACYBOX.com/recollection. These irreplaceable heirlooms are rapidly fading away, and they deserve to be digitized and shared with family and friends. And right now, LEGACYBOX is offering you $9 tape transfers. The process is simple. Send in your LEGACYBOX filled with old VHS tapes, camcorder tapes, and pictures. Their team will professionally digitize everything by hand, right here in the USA. You'll get the originals returned to you, along with organized digital copies. I love LEGACYBOX because it makes all my favorite memories available anytime. I can post them on social media or pull up a slideshow on my TV, which keeps special family moments alive. Visit LEGACYBOX.com/recollection to shop their $9 tape sale. That's LEGACYBOX.com/recollection to unlock this incredible offer. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to check the description of this video for links to pick up a t-shirt and sign up for the newsletter. Thank you to our loyal Patreon supporters listed here. Visit patreon.com/recollectionroad to join the club.